Well, how's it going? I'm Mark Duffy. Welcome to my channel. On today's episode, I'm going to continue on my photography basics series. I'm going to talk about exposure. I'm going to break it into 3 different videos. The first one is going to be the part that I think is going to be the easiest of them all to understand, and that is ISO. So let's get straight into it. What is ISO? ISO is literally the gain level in your sensor. So like on the microphones that you have where you're setting your gain, it's ISO. What ISO stands for is like a parody on Star Wars, like Yoda took over a company and decided to call it ISO, even though it stands for International Organization of Standardization. We didn't need to know that. It has no effect on us, but that's what it stands for. It used to be known as ASA, then it was changed to ISO. So whether it's film or it's digital, it's about the sensitivity of that medium. Now, they're 2 separate animals, so we'll park the film for a while and we'll just talk about and concern ourselves with digital. Right, so it's the sensitivity of your sensor. It controls the gain level. So you turn that up and it becomes more sensitive to light, but it has a downside with that. With the increase of that gain level and that sensitivity that you're adding into it, you will get noise, what's called noise. And the best way to refer to this is, have you ever heard hiss from a microphone? That's the same thing. You will find correlations between audio and visual. There are overlaps left, right, and center, and one of them is noise. So hiss on a microphone or digital noise, that speckly noise, they're basically the same thing. I know I said at the start of the video, it's the easiest to understand, and that's why I would start, but it's also, in a lot of cases with your photography, it's going to be your base of your exposure triangle. You will set this first, and then you will base the other 2 in compromise of each other to get your exposure. You do landscape photography, you're going to set it to ISO 100. Then you go and you want to get the sunburst in your photos, you set it to f16. So the shutter speed is whatever it needs to be at that moment for your exposure. And there you go, you've got a photo taken. This is how fast you can become at exposing, because it's about finding the base. We can clearly see that ISO is measured in 100s, apart from ISO 50 and ISO 64 if you're on Nikon. There are exceptions. But if you look at this, from 100 onwards, it's 100, 200, 400. And you see how I went 100, 200, then I went to 400, then I would go to 800, then I would go to 1600. The reason why is every time you double the number, it's 1 stop of light. I'm trying to remember the other numbers. Is it 100, 125, 160, 200, 250, really and truly, like, I don't care. If I'm going in between those, I'm really just fine tuning, but I will just jump in increments of 1 stops. As technical as I like to get, I still like to keep it simple in my head. So I move in 1 full stop increments at each time. 100 to 200 to 400 to 800. I always go to those. Except for 1600, I will go to 1250. For some reason, I go 800 then to 1250. I think that's just because when I did my tests on the A7 III, that's where the line was with total clean imagery. And that brings me to my next point before I move on, is I really do advise that you get any camera you get new, it's the most boring thing you will ever do in your life, but take some test photos at different ISOs, at different, 1 stop overexposed, 1 stop underexposed, and see how they perform. And you find out for yourself, for your own tastes, where you like it to lie, and then memorize those numbers. It's the best thing that you can do. Remember, 1250 is where you like it. 1600 is where you like it. Maybe you like 2,500. Who knows? It's up to you, but you need to do your tests. I know it doesn't look it, but this is a powerful fan that I'm only after getting 2 days ago. These are the kind of things I'm going to be showing in other videos. So, are you subscribed yet? You should be. Okay, so you're getting comfortable with ISO and you've done your test, so you're comfortable in your head with your camera. So you go into a scenario, it's a gym, it's not an overly well-lit gym, but you have an f2 lens. So you've got nice light coming in through the lens. You can have some decent shutter speeds because you're clean up to ISO 1600 and you're going to use it in your photos. But you will shoot it quite close. You don't have to do much tweaking with the shadows or anything like that there. This is how you improve as a photographer. You're not going, I need to stick at ISO 100 because Mark said so. Mark said, free yourself from those chains. Get rid of those. you need to do your tests. I will be repeating this on every edition to this series because shutter speed has its own test needed, aperture has its own test needed, and you need to find where you like things. What I'll do right now is I'll give you scenarios as to examples as to what I've used ISO for, and you can kind of see a relation to it, right? So if I was doing landscape photography, you'd aim for ISO 50, ISO 100 for two reasons. The image is going to be clean. It darkens your image a lot more, so it means you've got less need for ND filters for long exposure. So that can be a great one for that. Then up in the ISO, then, you know, up to ISO 400, 800, you're talking about now you're in the commercial realm and you need to stay at, you know, 1/125th of a second, 1/200th of a second. And you'll find that these are what the determining factors are going to be when you're deciding on exposure. Is you want to be at ISO 100, but that means it's too dark in where you are to keep the shutter speed at a relatively decent shutter speed, so you don't have handshake or anything like that. So there's these compromises, this push and pull constantly. And you'll see I'm always pulling from this because, as I say, ISO is the base. Aperture will pull, shutter speed will pull. We can't, you know, I don't have the steadiest of hands. I can't shoot any slower than 1/125th of a second. So that needs to stay there. So now, can I get my aperture open more than f2.8? No. So then the ISO needs to be raised. You can't do it here, you can't do it there, then you get your ISO and you go. And the ISO is the last thing you should touch because of the noise problems. As well as that, as you creep up to the higher levels, you've got another issue as well. Your dynamic range changes. Now, in cameras like Sony, some of the new Canon cameras, as far as I have seen, I don't use Canon all that much, but I definitely know for 100%, Sony cameras are what you call ISO invariant. Basically what that means, it doesn't really matter what you shoot your ISO at, the noise doesn't increase. So I have done one before. I shot a Milky Way, you'll see it here. I shot it at ISO 800 and I shot it at ISO 10,000. And I raised the 800 to match the exposure of the 10,000. And I also reduced the 10,000 down to the 800 and the noise didn't change because I increased it by the exposure. So I lifted it up and down. I didn't grab the highlights and shadows and stretch it left and right. This is where your dynamic, this is where I feel my definition on dynamic range is. Your stretchability this way here from highlights and shadows, it diminishes as you go up the higher end of the ISO scale, but you can still have that flexibility to open it up and down. So bear that in mind. You can, but you won't. You can increase it, but you won't have that flexibility. So you will add in, and you'll see the noise come in straight away. As soon as you start opening up the shadows, you'll run into problems. And as well as that, without even mentioning AI, there have been increases and improvements on noise reduction software continually. You know, Topaz had it, Lightroom introduced it. So the necessity to try and stay at a very low ISO to keep clean is kind of dwindling away. You can kind of shoot whatever you want. And here's a good trick. If you do want to have like a grainy look to some black and white photos, get your ISO up. Shoot it at a ridiculous height and put some ND filters on it to, you know, bring back your shutter speed. But send it up to 6,400, 10,000. And then don't get rid of any of the noise, and you'll get more realistic grain than if you added it in afterward. Especially if you're using Fuji, there's a grain to that ISO. Now I'm not entirely sure about the GFX. It has quite a nice performance on its ISO, but definitely when I used to use the XT3 and the XT2, has a beautiful from ISO 1600 onwards. There's a grain to the noise, which can be very, very desirable if you want. I hope that made sense. Don't let it overcomplicate itself. Keep it at a base. So set it to 100, set it to 400, set it to 800. And it all depends on what you need from your aperture and your shutter speed. So let them all, you know, guide themselves. You don't always have to be at 100. You don't always have to be at f2.8. And you certainly don't always have to be at 1/200 of a second. But a lot of people like to keep that there. It's quite tough to keep it going. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give the video a like. Subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this and ring the bell to get notified every time I post up a new video. And if you want to find me anywhere else, I'm on all the social medias. You'll be delighted to hear on Mark Duffy Photography. So until the next time, later gators.